Hi, my name is Michael Roberts, and today my speech is going to be about one of the most well-known people from Remsen, my hometown. His name is Bernard Hatch. He was originally from Utica and moved up to Remsen. He lived with his sister, her husband, and his mother in a trailer on Potato Hill. Hatch worked at the local gas station around the time he was about to become well-known. He soon became known since he was convicted of murder. He was convicted of killing Mary Rose Turner. She was a 56-year-old woman who had known Hatch since he worked at the local gas station. She suffered from insomnia and was out on a morning walk, which led her past the gas station. This was the last time that she was seen. The same morning, a local farmer named James Weekly saw a green car dragging something behind it. There were several sources saying that he thought it was around six feet long. Several others that morning had seen the vehicle driving erratically and which was all around the same area. One identifying the driver as Bernard Hatch. Nothing was really ever thought of it until Mr. Weekly was driving home from getting groceries and noticed blood streaks in the road and other material scattered about. He followed them. This led him to 3 Encon workers. They then came across a bloody clothesline that had hair on it. It does not say what the clothesline was there for, but I'm assuming to drag what was ever behind the vehicle. They had also found ashes from a very recent fire, along with some pink clothing. It is reported that Mr. Weekly called the police 3 times before they believed him and came to check it out. Once Trooper J.E. Chafee arrived, he decided to take samples from the road and told Mr. Weekly that he has read too many detective books. Eventually the results came back and the samples taken were from a human. This sparked a huge search led by dogs that led officers to a body buried in a grave. The grave was shallow and muddy, but the body was identified as Mary Rose Turner. The body was missing hands, feet, and a face. The face most likely to be due to being dragged behind her hands and feet, but her hands or feet were cut off for an unknown reason. She only had some of her hair and 1 ear left. Some of her internal organs were also missing. Eventually, a hand of hers was found, but none of the other missing parts were found. A search warrant was issued for his home, car, and buildings around his house. At his home, they found and took his green 1966 Plymouth Satellite, knives, clothes, boots, and even newspaper clippings about the murder of Miss Turner. They found her hair on his shoes and in the trunk of his car, along with some on rope. Within the next few months, he was indicted for the murder of Mary Rose Turner. Throughout the trial, testimonies were given that told us Hatch seemed disturbed after coming back to work from his break 6 a.m. the morning of Mrs. Turner's disappearance. We also found out from one of his friends who was bragging about tying a girl to his car to try and get the truth out of her. Eventually, he was found guilty by the jury and sentenced to a minimum of 25 years in prison with a maximum of life in prison. The story doesn't end there, however. There are a few other disappearances that are quite possibly due to Bernard Hatch. A pair of skeletal remains were found by 2 rabbit hunters on Potato Hill in 1973. They were identified as 22-year-old Linda Caddy and her 3-year-old daughter Lisa Caddy, who had been missing since the summer of 1970. Turns out Linda was Hatch's girlfriend and Lisa seemed to be their kid. They started dating in 1969, and she was believed to be in love with him and had moved to live with him since she was pregnant with their kid. The day after the mother and the daughter were believed to be killed, Hatch showed up to work with scratches on his face. The remains were found in close proximity to Mary Rose Turner. Police had also found clothes of Caddy's in Hatch's home when they were searching for Mary Rose Turner evidence. Another lady named Lorraine Zinicola and her 3 sons were reported missing in July 1971, the following summer of the murders of Linda and Lisa Caddy. Lorraine divorced her husband and had started dating Hatch within the same month. It was reported that she told a friend she fell in love with Hatch, a parolee, and that he was going to jump parole. She left her family on July 8th to live with Hatch and was last seen on the 9th. Burnt clothes were found by police during the search on the hill due to the Cadiz case. The clothes were identified by Lorraine's family as belonging to the boys. The boys were only 7, 5, and the youngest being 2 years old. Their bodies were never found. Hatch is the only convicted for the murder of Mary Rose Turner, since they could not pin the other murders or disappearances to him. Hatch has had a very rough past as well. He was accused of rape twice but only convicted once, which he only served 3 years for, which he was supposed to serve 25. During these, he raped a minor and tied up her boyfriend. He also made a mother have sex with him by holding her 3-year-old daughter at knife point and having it to her throat. He also shot neighbors' animals and pets. Hatch has come up for parole every 2 years since 1998 and has been denied every single time.